Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you well. Do you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah, I hear you. And oh, good, good. There's a car honking. That's perfect. Yeah, my office is like right on the edge of a parking lot, so hopefully we don't get too much of that. But anyway, um,
Okay.
let me see here. Let me just look at the audio real fast on the computer. All right, let me just turn that up a little. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Dude. First of all, how are you?
I'm good, man. I am in Florida, in sunny Florida, chilling. I moved here last April.
From North Carolina, right?
hmm
What was North Carolina like? I don't know a ton of people there these days.
Well, I was in Charlotte, and my experience in Charlotte was really cool. Um, North Carolina is a wide, like a big state. So I think depending on the city and where you're at, you have a different experience, you know?
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Like it gets more conservative in in the smaller cities. But Charlotte was pretty lit. I like it. I missed it.
How? Where are you in Florida now? How's the weather?
I'm in South Florida. Excuse me. I'm in
So,
South Florida. So I'm in a neighborhood called Hollywood, Florida.
okay,
It's like 40 minutes from Miami, up north, so almost Fort Lauderdale.
wow, okay. So it's kind of like where is that near where you used to hang out when you were in Florida before?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I've always in Florida. I've always lived kind of like around this area. So when I first moved to the U.S., I came to live in Hallandale Beach, which is 10 minutes away from where I am
Oh wow.
now. And
Um,
then
has the
through the
weather been
pandemic,
insane for you?
it's not really. It's just hot, you know.
So no, you
It
don't have
gets it
to
gets
like
nice.
no
It gets
hurricane stuff
nice.
for you.
Oh no. So the last hurricane uh hit more of the west coast of Florida, so Gulf of Mexico.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
so it hit more like Tampa, St. Pete, Cape Coral.
Okay, right. And I ended up talking to like a lot of people at my day job for those reasons. So I don't know anything about the geography of Florida honestly because I've never. It's one of those states that I've never been to. Um,
It's it's funny. It's almost like an island in a way. It's a peninsula, so you have water around you all the time. Because there's water to the south, there's water to the east and to the west, um, and it's really particular. It gets super Caribbean and tropical in the south area, and then Central Florida. It's kind of like a mix of that tropical climate with more of the regular south, like swampy kind of.
sure, sure.
and then North Florida, it's practically more like Georgia, Alabama. So it gets hot, very humid, and but it's way more green, right? So the South is it looks like it will be closer to the islands. So it looks like Cuba, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. So it's also very similar to back home.
That's what I was gonna ask. Is like, how does that compare to your, going from Venezuela to that? Is that like a nice familiar thing for you?
Oh yeah, very, very, very. If anything, our hometown was a little bit more arid. So like
More
I
dry.
don't want to say desert. It is very humid still, but we get a lot of like uh, plants that will survive to a lot of heat and sun, and um, there's a lot of salt, way more than here. So
Oh,
our hometown was before before they established, um, like the first people that moved there. I guess before that, it was a lot of little mounds of salt, right? So it's very it is dry, but it's a humid weather. It's weird.
that's interesting. Yeah, honestly, that kind of sounds like otherworldly. But I think you guys have done a really great job. Like, not that this is necessarily what we're talking about at this moment, but I think one of the coolest things you guys did with your Melkima record was
Yeah,
like conveying uh, a really, like, you really got a lot of those sensory things across in the production. Like, it's very wet and also very dry and sparse at the same time. I know that's like just kind of a super left field thing to say, but I remember thinking that you guys did such a good job like describing a lot of the, just like the whole effect of your hometown
yeah,
and like the islands
yes.
back home.
So the only the or the big difference in between here and there is that here is very plain. Once you get to Florida, you don't see the terrain it's flat all the
Ah,
time.
right.
For many, many, many miles and hours, it's just flat. Um, and ours is kind of like it gets different. It has flat parts, but it has this like uh, big rocky mountain that starts changing everything. And so uh, the national park, the Mochima, it's kind of like half of that mountain part, half of the very flat, and then a lot of water in this group of islands. So it's so diverse. It's crazy.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely that otherworldly vibe. It's like a different
You
planet.
know what's the craziest, or to me, the craziest like wildlife that we get is like there's seasons in which um, people get to see that not orcas, but the 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 shark whale.
Oh, like the whale
It's
shark, the big orange looking one.
the big one that is not really aggressive nor anything.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
So to me, that's the wildest uh, that it gets, And there's a lot of dolphins, like sea turtles, craziness, right?
That's
A lot
incredible.
of a lot of weird birds, and it's interesting because the mountain parts are more like rainforesty, um, just tropical, very very tropical, very humid. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then the islands itself, they have like different elements like soil. There's one that it's like a lot of like clay rocks, and so the water gets in a little bit different color, and there's others that are like super 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 clear. It's interesting. It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
It's not the blue ocean. It's more like very clear and very green. So it's like that Caribbean Sea. Um, and I think here we still have a little bit of that, especially in South Florida. Then North Florida, it starts getting more like deep blue, more like it's a little bit more dark, and it's just it's not even colder. It gets colder by this time of year, but the South, it will just remain forever summer.
So is it easier for you as far as like managing your various projects to be where you are now?
Um, in a way, yeah, because I'm closer to the guys in the band. Um, so that's always a win. I was like coming here at least once a month.
Oh my god.
Sometimes I'll take a little bit more, but not really, because we're always touring. So I don't think I stopped seeing them for more than a month. Probably two. Them like being like super exaggerated. But here I am close to them, so we can ride being in person. We get to hang out, we get to talk in front of each other, so that's really nice.
Yeah, you get the chemistry.
Yeah. But North Carolina, being in the same coast, same time zone, it wasn't that hard,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like something about there is that, well, for instance, life is more accessible. It's more affordable, way more affordable. It is Charlotte. It's getting gentrified very fast, and so prices are going up. But even though they're going up constantly, it's still cheaper than South Florida.
What would you
South
say
Florida,
the rent difference in rent would be? Like
at
for
least
let's
a
say for like a
30%.
one-bedroom apartment.
So let's see. Depending on where you are in South Florida, if you're closer to Miami, it gets more expensive. So a room like just a normal room situation, probably shared bathroom, you're looking into paying $1,000 and a little bit more. Here's South Florida, right?
Okay.
So for a decent place for yourself, if you find it in 1,500, 1,800, you're getting a great deal. You should get it super quick because it's getting harder to find those.
In Charlotte?
Here
Oh,
in
here in
Florida.
okay. Oh
So
my goodness.
yeah.
I
In
get it now.
Charlotte, you can still find, like a place, like let's say a one bedroom, nice for one person. 1,000. You know.
Dang. Yeah, I mean, that sounds very similar to here in Utah, honestly. We're for our 2 bedroom place, which is like split between us and our animals, it's basically 2,000 a month. And it's the whole thing. But in a way I don't know. I try not to think about it too much, right? I'm just like we got to
Yeah.
keep doing it.
I mean,
Um
it's it's I feel like everywhere is getting more expensive, and shit's changing all the time. After pandemic, I think everything went crazy everywhere.
True.
But yeah, Miami, I feel like it's just such a main city for many things, right? Not necessarily music,
Oh
or
yeah, yeah.
not necessarily our kind of music, but it is uh, it is a city with a lot of movement and a lot of people. So it's traffic all the time. It's kind of like it's like a younger ceiling of LA, you know.
Sorry, what was
So
a younger what?
ceiling of LA.
Oh, word. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought you said. That makes sense. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
wondering
yeah.
that.
So at the beginning, I guess Florida was thought to be like the retirement place, and so people will come here to retire. Mostly people that were wealthy. Um, but later it became this entire just huge city with a lot of you know uh, people coming through. It's a melting pot of cultures from all over the world. Uh, so it's wild and fast.
Yeah.
You know, not I don't see that uh, like a retirement place that you want to like. Oh, when I go to Miami downtown to retire, I don't think it's not longer like that. It was meant to be like that, but now it's just modern. You know, modern and very very pushy and a lot of celebrities, a lot of weird shit. So
It gives me hope.
yeah, there's that part, which is the downtown area um, and South Beach and all of that, which is like super populated, and then we all kind of like live in the outskirts, you know.
So I'm happy that you mentioned LA a little bit because I am curious. You know, you guys have had like a pretty good hold of that area. I would say, you know, the Miami, at least from what I understand, my limited understanding of Florida. You guys have had a pretty good hold there as your home base since you came over from Venezuela, right?
Yeah.
So I'm interested how you made this really amazing connection, you know, with the West Coast Los Angeles legends being the people in Codefendants and NoFX, and how I'm so curious how did that happen? How did you? I think a lot of people are super curious how it happened because so many people have rooted for you guys for so long as like one of the hardest working, most incredibly powerful bands out there. You know, if you don't mind me kissing your ass a little bit, like the live show you guys do is just so good and so important. You know, as Zeta, and I feel like you bring so much of that energy. You know, as a working unit to co-defendants as well. I was so blown away by the set I saw a few months ago in Salt Lake. So yeah, I'm just wondering if you could give me maybe a brief synopsis of how that happened for you guys.
Well, first off, thank you for all the flowers. Um, we are you said a word that I think it's powerful to describe. Theta, we're definitely a tight unit. Um, we are passionate musicians. We're not just passionate about the music that we make as Zeta, but we're just passionate about all music, right?
Right.
And we didn't really, not all of us went to music school, but we all share that we're nerds when it comes to music. And so anything, any music challenge, any different genre, style, we want to know it. We want to learn how to play it. We get lost in the sauce talking about other um, styles of music, which is not, like the normal, like punk or like, um, we just love playing,
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I, we, through the years of collecting new music to listen to, we stumbled upon Chesky. We were still in Venezuela, me and Danny. Um, we have this friend that came to the U.S. to study English for, I don't know, a couple of years or something. And he came back with all of these amazing, like, music, underground music that wasn't really like, the mainstream stuff that you could like possibly find uh, in the TV or in the radio, but just like more specific music. And by the time that we were putting out our first official long production album, um, we were trying to figure out how to do videos for it, and um, he started showing us stuff, and he showed us these like very indie hip hop band called Dark Time Sunshine, and we saw a video for it. Let me check the name of the video so that I can give you the exact one.
Right on.
So the first video that we saw from them, oh gosh, it's called Sleeve Stack, Payback, and All Aboard. I think it's 2 songs in one video.
Wow. Okay.
It's like 5 minutes, and it felt so good. We could like identify so much, and we saw it, and we were like, oh shit, I think we can definitely take this as an inspiration. We had a Canon camera from, I don't know, just like the most like basic camera from that time, and we started experimenting, making videos and whatnot, and watching this video a lot, we start loving the band, and so it's like, oh, if you like it so much, here, take this. I burn you a CD with their record or whatever, and we're like, oh, sick. And he gave us the CD and the track list, and we saw the first song that's featuring Chesky.
Ah.
And we're like, oh, holy shit. And we heard that song, the first song of the album. It's incredible. It hits so hard. And we're listening to this while hotboxing in the car or something with our friend. And we're like, holy shit, what is this? Like, this is like surreal. It sounded, it's just so crazy. So crazy. It's like nothing we've heard before. The album's called Vessel, and this is like 2010.
Cool. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And so we start checking more facts about the album, and SQ will just pop. He was the actual like executive producer of the album, right? And everywhere we heard, we looked, because his name was there. Like he introduced the guys in the band. He was co-owner of the label that put out the record, which is Fake 4. He was in the first and the last song of the album. And we're just fucking, man, this guy has to be incredible, you know, like fucking, who is these people, right? And we were still in Venezuela by the time they released the album after that one, which is the ANX, and it still have Chesky on it, and it's even more amazing. But we didn't knew much about him. Like we didn't knew anything about his like personal life. We thought he was just like, you know, probably American, and that's it.
Sure.
Know?
How can you know right away?
And then we moved here. We started playing, and we started making a name in the community of music, especially here in Florida, since we were living here. On the random fact, the first tour we had, we went all the way to the West Coast and back. So we already had good friends around the LA area since the beginning, since 2015.
Yeah, I think that is important to mention. You guys have a very big base, and you've grown all of your like bases throughout the U.S.
Yeah, we are. We're very. We have a very nomadic nature.
Right.
We can't really be still in one place, because when Venezuela started to get very weird, we started moving, and we tried to stay in different places, or we try to go to different places and really experience, and with the mindset of like, oh, we'll maybe move here eventually. So
Like maybe return to Venezuela or return to a different place.
So the way it worked is Venezuela was getting more and more turmoil politically,
Mm-hmm.
and it was getting harder to just be a musician, like, or do something that is considered a luxury for them, right?
Right,
and so the first time we went to Argentina to play, we went for like a month, and we had in our minds like, oh, let's really experience, let's really ask, because we might need to move out of the country in any second now. So we went there and we were like, oh shit, that's the place. And then we just kept on going all the time, like at least once a year, and staying for 2 months, 3 months, shit like that. But we couldn't really like figure it out completely uh, like having jobs, or just we were kids, we were very young. Um, and then we went to Colombia for the first time, and we were like, oh shit, maybe this is the place. Um, and that same thing happened later with like Mexico. I even tried to stay in Panama once, um, but it was like that. Like we couldn't. We were there until we could, and then it was like, oh shit, I need to go back home because I don't have shit.
Wow.
Um. So anyway, uh, we came to the U.S. in 2015 and did that first tour and really liked it and thought, all right, maybe this is the place. And we we were trying to get cool shows to play at in Florida because this is where we were settling in, and we got this show opening for Trash Talk,
Oh wow.
and they didn't have any bands in their tour. I remember asking the promoter to play, and he was like, "Well, I really enjoy you guys' music. I don't know if they're gonna want a band because they are the only band in their tour. It's them and rap artists, and they actually asked for to get them some rap artists from here, right? And so, but the guy was like, I'm gonna ask and let's see what they think. And apparently, I don't know if their agent or whom had the last word, but they were cool enough to say, yeah, of course, let's have them. They're from Venezuela, sounds cool. Um, and so we get to open. And the artist that played right after us was this rapper called Bluebird from here, from Florida. And it was amazing. It was rap, but it was very punk and very different, and it sounded kind of like what we heard around Dark Time Sunshine, right?
Okay.
And we met him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm from the same neighborhood that you guys are from," and we're like, "Oh, holy shit, we have a first friend."
Nice.
And so we didn't knew anyone else, and we kept on like visiting him. He'll be working at the bar of a really really cool place called Laser Wolf, um, and they have beers from all over. Local beers from weird places, fucking weird beers, and we're just amused. We're just going there, trying different shit, hearing the stories of this amazing guy. He's older than us, and he's talking about this like community of indie rap in the U.S. And we talked about Dark Time Sunshine at a certain point, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in the same label. My best friend is the owner of the label, and his name is Chesky." What you just said? And it's like, yeah, my best friend Lola, and we're like, bro, we're like hardcore fans of this shit. Like, are you kidding me? He's like, no way, that's so crazy. The next time that Chesky comes, I'm gonna let you know and I'll introduce you guys. And so I don't know how much time after that, Chesky came and he called us like, "Hey, Chesky's in town. Um, can you guys come? He's in Miami." And we're like, "Yeah, definitely." And so we drove there. At the time, I think I didn't even have a car on my own. So I asked the family that I was living with to lend me the car and drove all the way to Miami just to meet this guy, right?
Wow, yeah.
And so we met him and we're talking Spanish, and then he started talking Spanish to us, and we're like, "What the fuck? You talk Spanish?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican." And we're like, "What the fuck?" It's like, what? Who is fucking Puerto Rican? It's called Chesky. You know what I mean? Like,
It is an interesting name.
it is a very interesting name. And so he's like, "Yeah, my family, I guess, came from Italy, settled there. And so he's Francesco, which Chesky.
I love it.
Yeah, so crazy." And so we started talking about bands from the Caribbean, and he knew them all. This guy knows music for real, and he's not just a rapper, but he fucking shreds.
Right.
Later on, as we became friends, we saw him fucking shredding, like actual shredding, like jazz guitar and shit. And he had fucking stories for days, and we hit it off right in the moment that we met, and we like exchanged numbers and starting to build this cool friendship. We actually sent him a t-shirt before meeting him, and he had that t-shirt with him always, and people were like, "Oh, who's this? Who's Zeta? This is a cool t-shirt." Anyway,
Oh my God.
we became really good friends, and he invited us to play on the release of on some shows for the tour of the release of one of his albums. It's the Sci-Fi Luck album.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
And we were like, "Oh, holy shit, yeah, man, this means a lot." We've already told him that we used to listen to your music, since we were back home, and we were like 20 something. So it's super epic. Of course, we need to do this fucking tour with you. And so we went and we did that tour. And then for the Mochima, we invited him. And we invited Bluebirds, a newer rap band called Hurricane Party, and invited a guy named Andy the Doorbell, which we met in Chesky's tour. He was playing too. And we did like 5 or 6 shows around Florida, and we became more friends, if anything, right? And up to this point, we were like jamming. Like, we asked Chesky to sing in one of the songs in Mochima, and Andy also sang in one of the songs. We had done a song with Bluebird up to this point. And so our friendship was more than just, just like talking and hanging out. We were doing music together.
Yeah, you had like creative things in common.
Yes. And we had so many friends in common. Every time we like make a good friend on tour, somehow they were connected to them, to Chesky or Bluebird or, you know, or Fake Four. They were always the nicest people that were connected to them. So weird. And eventually, you know, uh, he got signed by Fabric to make these like albums. This guitar was stolen or something.
Is that like the acoustic album?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
He had made acoustic music before. Like there's the Broken Bone Ballads that he released in 2015 actually. So it was when we were moving here. Because he was super close to Pat the Bunny, so like full punk artist who is super big in that type of music. I don't think he plays anymore, but I know they used to tour together. So when we met Chesky, he was already experimenting a lot with singer-songwriter acoustic, very punky, very raw. And so since we saw him the first time, he had songs like that into his set. And so he got signed, and he's like, "Hey," he shared it with us just like any other, but he didn't really. He's like, "I'm working on something, and you know, when I have something to show you, like a real thing, I want to know your opinion, and I might ask you for your help." And we were like, "Of course, man. Like we're family up to this point." And he showed us the first like Codef demos, and at first he wanted to ask Chino to play some shit. Then he asked Danny, and then I guess they were like trying to make it work, and they were like, let's just call the other guys. And so he asked me and Tony.
So he needed the Zeta unit, the Zeta energy to make that work.
Yeah, because at first I think Fat Mike, wanted or had in mind a different lineup, I guess, with friends of him, right?
Sure.
And but Chesky had dreamed about doing it with his friends, and we had talked forever. Like, man, we have to do something all together because he's just an amazing poet, you know.
He's an incredible lyricist, and the way he delivers that stuff live is like, you can love him as an artist and not see him live, but I feel like when you do, you get a whole different understanding of how much he means that shit.
Totally, I agree. The live is insane. When you get to see Chesky live, that's when you're like, oh, holy shit, that's why everybody knows this fucker. Because he's incredible. I cried the first time I saw him play.
I guess I did too.
And it really moved me. And so he showed us the Codefendants thing, and it was not a regular Chesky album, but it had the vibe, and of course there's a lot of Chesky behind everything, but the album sounded more electronic, even like more like drum machine, like very yeah, like drum machine bass with like real guitars on it, and like a very, I don't know if the word is like LA-ish sound.
Like more synthesizers and stuff?
Yeah, like modern, very yeah, just like a different type of pop punk that is not your regular, just like, you know, two guitars, bass, and a drum.
Got it. Okay.
So that was challenging, you know, emulating those sounds, translating that to our normal like rock. Um, we started incorporating a lot of synths. Tony is actually very big on of synthesizers and like modulating sound, and so it was a cool challenge to have. I got to play bass. I've always wanted to play bass in a punk rock band, because I would listen to that. You know, like I wasn't just like into hardcore or into prog. I was into fucking everything, right? And so this was cool because it's like it's low key a rap band, like a hip hop band, but it has chord progressions of pop punk rock, and a lot of synthesizers. So
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
all right, this is a cool challenge to have. We learned the songs, we rehearsed, we were together in Florida for like a week. And then we were like, we need to show this to Mike. We need to show it to Fat Mike. And so we finished the tour and started driving all the way to the west for a showcase that they had. They had like
The secret show
yes,
that got
yeah,
leaked.
like a show for the press and for the, I guess, the booking agents that were interested, because, you know, having Fat Mike involved, there's a lot of tiny moving parts.
Sure.
And we went there, we showed it to Mike. At first, it was difficult because I guess he wasn't expecting it to sound like a rock project. So, you know, we rehearsed a little bit there and heard his thoughts on it, his knowledge of harmony, chord progressions, musical arrangements are insane. It's beyond what we knew at the time. And I remember him on the first rehearsal. He's there. A bunch of his friends, all dudes. They were all of them were dudes, and they were also old. And they're there in the rehearsal. Like everybody's there just to see how Codefendants gonna sound like.
Oh my god.
There's this huge expectation, and the guy that's been recording, they told him, "Oh yeah, they're gonna play with Zeta," and I guess he went into YouTube and typed Zeta, and thought that we were this rapper.
Oh
and
wow.
He's like, all right, and he set up everything like.
Oh
Like
shit.
a couple of mics and left.
Oh whoa. Okay.
And then we got there and we're a full band, and it's just this crazy confusion.
Okay, this is the secret show. This is happening.
No. This is the first
First
rehearsal.
rehearsal. Oh my god.
The first official rehearsal with Fat Mike, and there's a guy fucking filming everything. He's like Brazilian dude that wanted to do a documentary on something about Mike or some shit.
Okay.
There's Mike. There's all of these dudes.
Oh my god.
They're kind of intimidating. Fucking, you know.
That is beyond intimidating, dude. Yeah, of course.
And so we start playing. He's like, no, stop. We're like, oh shit.
God damn. No.
And he said something that to the day I can still think about it, and I still see his face and his expression saying it. Now it's just, at the moment it was a little bit more serious. Now it just cracks me up in laughter. He looked at me and Chino, because we're together, like, you know, rhythm section, and he goes and says, with Zeta, you guys rock, right? You're a rock band. You fucking rock, right? We're like, I guess, yeah. And he's like, well, with Codefendants, we don't rock. We play beautiful chords. And make a pause and make like these hands of like a chord in the air.
Okay.
And we're like, all right. And he's like, let's try again, whatever. And so we tried it several times, you know, until we understood that he just wanted, you know, subtle,
a lighter dynamic.
Yeah. Which all changed after, I guess, because he also like.
Yeah, it seems to have gone through some phases.
Yeah, he let go of controlling everything. I guess like in the studio with all of these processed sounds and modulations, you need to control them. It's very important that you figure out the dynamic through the velocity, the attack, the release, the volume. But when we're playing live, we are all a team, and so we need to feel each other to see where we're at, you know?
Yeah, it's weird. You're bringing the analog to very hyper digital, you know, in analysis.
Yeah. So, you know, it turned out great, and then we play the show. Everybody loved it. Weirdly, by the end of the show, Sam, which is the wildest card in the world, finished the last song and just looked at us and said, and now the almighty Zeta is going to play a song for you. And we're like, what? Bro, we don't have any songs. Like, I don't play bass in Zeta.
Oh my god.
We don't know what we're doing. Like, what? We're even in a fucking different key. It's like, this is us in our mind. And Sam is like, yeah, come on.
Do it.
Go. And everybody's like, say that. And we're like, oh, holy shit. And we managed to play a song that Danny sings that is really short. And El Canto de la Victoria is the song.
Okay, yeah.
And so I was fast and took the guitar, Tony took the bass. We didn't even fucking tune. We're like, I guess we'll just play it this way. And then he just sang.
Oh my god.
This is a 2-minute song. It's just 2 minutes. And we played our song and everybody was like, oh, they loved it. they're like hype, screaming, having fun. In the crowd, Donovan Melero was there for that day. Um, I guess because he works at Sound Talent Group, and there was an agent interested in working with Codefendants at the time, and so he was there. Uh, and when we finished the song, uh, we got to talk and to hang out, and he was like, "Oh, that's really cool." Honestly, I've never thought about like a band that could like hype these like old school punk rockers playing post hardcore. It's really odd, really different, and we didn't even consider ourselves post hardcore fully, but we understood what he meant, right? And
Sure.
we knew about him because of False Troy, because up to this point we had a good relationship with Thomas from False Troy, which is also a great friend of Chesky, and we met through Chesky.
Ah, interesting. Okay, yeah, it was eventually I did want to ask like how this newer arc, after working with co-defendants and working as co-defendants, now it kind of seems like there's almost this eclipse thing happening with Zeta where we get to
Yeah,
hear a whole, I don't know, like not even a return because it sounds different. I think you're probably speaking more or singing more in English than you ever
yeah.
have, right?
Well, from co-defendants and from Chesky, from even from Fat Mike and from Sam, we got to learn a lot of singing, songwriting aspects that we didn't knew before, because we we kind of like went in deep into progressive music, um, and that was our kind of like our main thing at the time, right? Like mixing post rock and like hardcore sludgy shit, but changing it a lot to a point that it felt very progressive. Um, no structures, no formulas, just like a lot of feeling, a lot of changes, a lot of different parts. Um, so it was interesting hanging out with the Codex crew, because we kind of learned more about chord progressions, harmonies, uh, more pop structures, but in a different way that it's not just like what you will like get by analyzing something that you're listening to, but more like
Uh,
being there in the creative process of things.
That yeah, so it's amazing that you bring that up in that exact way because I that made me think when you were saying that when I saw Tony after your show in Salt Lake, he was like Sam is a wild card, but he is also like working with an incredible jazz musician. Not that he's bringing like 13th chords to the table, but he is in a creative
Yeah,
like predator mode all the time. He's always like on
dude,
top of it.
he. So the way that Codev works is Sam and Chesky are the main writers, and then Fat Mike, he's he he's a he's not just a producer because he also writes and he make everything work in terms of like musical arrangements. Uh, I will say again the chord progression thing is something that he's I guess I don't know if this is like he's a school of like Beatles or what, but every time they sing a verse or a chorus, the chord progression changes slightly. If it's Chesky, if it's Sam, if it's like a featuring, every time someone else is singing, the chords are not exactly the same. It
Sure.
won't sound the same because it's making rhythms with a drum machine makes it sound very linear, but the chords are changing in little ways, you know.
I've
Not
heard him talk
not
about that, or at least I've
yeah
seen him talk about it in interviews. But to hear you say that means a lot because I feel like you are so seasoned as a arranger yourself. I know you might not see that, but you've had to like function as a multi instrumentalist a lot, you know. So you at least know from experience how those work.
yeah. It's crazy because it's not like changing the mode completely. It's probably in the same uh, scale, but the chords are different.
I love
The
it.
order
Yeah. Okay.
of the chords are also different, right? Like let's say like suicide by police
Okay. Yeah.
um, is the same group of notes, but they're differently used for each part, and that's what makes it very challenging.
Jeez.
Um,
Yeah, there's key changes. There's several different. That song is like
yeah,
you think it's gonna be one thing. I remember when I first heard it, and I was like, oh, so they're gonna do like more of a softer thing. Maybe this is gonna sound a little bit more like the older Get Dead stuff. And I was like, nope, this is as weird as everything else.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's more Mike uh, area, and I remember this time we stayed at his place. We're learning more of the songs and working for the store, and I remember he woke up like at 3 in the morning,
Okay.
or maybe he was already awake. I don't know. But we couldn't sleep, and we're just like goofing around in this like ping pong table in the basement where we're all meant to rehearse and to record. We had it all there set up, and he just comes like at 3 in the morning with an acoustic guitar. It's like, I already figured it out. And so the note that we need is this one. Super random. Like hours. The rehearsal was like during daytime. And he's like still hung on like that note that we couldn't figure out for whatever new song. So uh he's really cool. He's very intelligent when it comes to that,
Oh
to
yeah.
musical arrangements, and so we've get to learn a lot from them, and we've put it into our music too. And also, we have been a band forever, so we don't really see things like at first, at the beginning, we'll we made the band thinking of a sound, and we're like, oh, let's make a band that sounds kind of like this, right? And then, but by this time, there's not really limits because we've passed that border of the the band that sounds like something, and it's more just like when we're together with this configuration, we're called this, and we're just vibing together, whatever the challenge is musically, right? And so we're thinking on songs that we need or that we want for our live set. We're like, oh, in our live set, we have all of these options. And sometimes we're like creating songs thinking about like, I would love to have a song that will bridge these two songs and will sound like this, or will have this energy, or like, yeah, it's.
And you're all very capable of delivering like that because you all listen to such different music all the time.
Yes. So up to this point, the music writing is more like that than anything else. It's not just like creating a concept for an album, which is, we've always been very, all of our albums are kind of like conceptual,
Very, yeah.
But we're letting ourselves also try to explore creating a little world for just one song and finishing the song, and not just being like, this song will like jump into this other one. Like, it's not just one full song, at least not with this next album that we're gonna put out. It's little worlds in each song, which is really cool. It's a new challenge to have.
So the title, right, is was it medicine for you, right?
Was it medicine to you? Yeah.
So is that something that came up once? Like, did someone say that, or is that something that like started to just like a phrase that resonates with you guys?
Well, the album is conceptual when it comes to lyrics. There is a main idea behind all the writing of the lyrics. We wrote the album we started to think about the album right in the middle of probation. We went to jail last November. Not this one, but the last November. We were on tour with Eldest On, and we were in Lubbock, Texas, which I think you can say is kind of like northwest Texas. Not really west Texas, but kind of.
It's like kind of the middle of nowhere, Texas.
Yeah, I mean,
it's so big out there. I mean, if it's not,
we've learned so much from this area up to this point that it is no longer nowhere. It's definitely not as metropolitan.
Right.
But it's so weird what I'm gonna say, and probably many people are gonna disagree, but there's a lot of culture there from that area. There's a way of being, a way of speaking. There's codes that are unspoken. There are certain things that people do and people know that will help you thrive or survive that area when it comes to how things move socially, economically. It's a whole different set of rules.
It's a very mountain man answer. I love that.
It's crazy because we didn't know any of this. We were we were doing live just like we've done anywhere else in the States. And we went to jail for something that probably in any other place wouldn't really mind. And I would love to get in detail with it because I've been open with all my loved ones, but because we're still on probation, I don't I can't really be like.
Yeah, I won't ask you specifics. I have had something similar happen to myself, so I understand.
Yeah, I can be as far as we had with us things that we shouldn't have with us, you know, and but we didn't do anything major, or we didn't really. These didn't involve any third person, nothing. We were pulled over because the center upper light of the van supposedly wasn't working. We didn't even have a center upper light.
Oh wow.
And then they asked us to step out of the vehicle, and
The rest is history.
Yeah. And we're all from here, but we all have a hell of a thick accent, and we clearly look different than the people that pulled over, the officers that pulled us over, right?
Sure, of course.
Anyway, we went to jail for 24 hours, had to pay the bail bonds, and it was so. It created an impact on us. It was so heavy that we needed to express exactly what we felt and what we discovered later when we started the probation process. And so that's also one of the main reasons why the new songs are in English, because this was like a real American experience. You know what I mean? Like it we learn so much from the system and how every state works and how different it is when you are like in Texas than when you are in Florida than when you are in California or whatever, right?
Yeah, of course.
And during the probation, we were asked to go to different things. We had to do like a psychological assessment. We had to take some classes on abuse of controlled substance. We have to periodically have these like calls with the PO. We have to achieve an amount of community service hours, and we were asked to go to NA meetings.
That's a whole lot.
Or AA. We could choose either or.
Wow.
We're not really drinkers, so it felt very hypocritical going to it. AA. So we chose NA, and we went to 6 meetings, and we learned so much, so much, but we ended up learning from ourselves and from humans, and and from the system itself, and how crazy everything is. The game is definitely, uh, I don't want to say rigged, but there, there's definitely things that if you don't know, you're practically falling for it.
Of course, yeah, and I mean, the tables are always slanted when you are not, super. I don't know. If you're not the most common type of person in America, yeah, it's very hard to know those. Why would you know those rules? And
Exactly.
why would you ever need them? So I'm sorry that you guys had to go through that. And I mean, even just the limited experience that I've had, again, that was very similar, very expensive. A lot of the things that you were talking about have lined up with my own experience. I think having that backstory that you just told me, I think I have a way different understanding of the title of the album, and it goes far deeper than I was thinking originally. So I really appreciate that.
Of course, yeah, yeah, yeah. Honestly,
Jesus.
it was so eye opening, and we met so many interesting people that just like live in the shadows. Like they thrive in the NA rooms, and some of these people are so intelligent, emotionally, and so spiritual, so fucking inspiring. Um, so that's where the title and the songs come from. Um, the song that we released, it's called Privilege because, well, of course, that's the most straightforward title.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. Absolutely.
and then we're releasing next one on December 6th. That one is featuring Anthony Green on vocals, and it's called Steps, and it's inspired on the 12 Steps of Recovery. It's a literature from the NA rooms. Um, Especially the first step, which is admitting that you have a problem and and coming to terms with reaching out for help, which is so fucking difficult. It's probably, to me, it's probably the most difficult step. Um, just it's crazy how we got there, right? And so
Sure.
we
There's
always,
probably a lot of feelings about that.
yeah, we always felt like, in a way, we didn't deserve to go there, but we
Right.
embraced it fully. And up to this point, I find a lot of joy into had gone through the NA and to the classes and many of these things. Like I've learned so much. It doesn't mean that I think that people should go to fucking probation or having to go through this shit. Like, but embracing life, just and being able to see and to hear different realities, and which is also being able to see more deeper into probably people that are more like us. We've never been uh, normal. We've never been. Things have never been just normal around us. So it's cool to learn more of the weird, of the shadows. I like to say now, like people living in the shadows are sometimes even more free of uh, of mind. You know, they're you'll find people that are more authentic uh, and that have like more interesting views on life, living in the shadows, right?
I would have to agree with you. And I mean, not necessarily to say like you should just vanish or like you should just become a ghost, but I think the people that I meet in the most everyday situations, I think if they're capable of like empathy and like having an open mind, they do often have the most interesting insight like at random. You don't necessarily go to like your favorite deli to get like an amazing story, but there's a 1 in 10 chance he's going to tell you something that's going to change your life.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
once in a while. It's more that I will run into people like that than competitive musicians, where I think people have like the same goals, or at least are all going the same direction. We all want similar things for ourselves, and so when you step out of your wheelhouse, it is really interesting what'll just slap you with some perspective.
I
um
I want to say really quick that I have a friend that that went to school to study philosophy and major in uh, socialism,
okay.
and she thought to me that at a certain point in history in Latin America, those like bodegas, those little like your neighborhood store,
Yeah, yeah.
where the points where the thinkers will meet and to conspire. And I find that so beautiful, so poetically beautiful. Um, because these are like tiny places where you get, like you said, the deli, like
That's
you
incredible.
get like probably the bread, or I don't know, like a soda or something, uh, or you make a phone call. Just the most like tiny ass random places, and that's where the people that were trying to make the revolution will meet to share ideas or whatever.
I love that so much. And I mean, it obviously like that's beautiful in itself, just like the idea that not necessarily beautiful in the way that of course it'll be shitty circumstances that will bring the philosophers and like bring those ideas to the bodegas and the delis, but when it happens you do have to take it as a beautiful thing, because you got to stay thankful that it can happen at all, right? And that
Totally.
feels more relevant than ever. That being said, I don't want to steal too much more of your time, but I first of all love you so much. This has been such an amazing talk for me. I cannot wait to get this
Love you
out.
too, brother.
I'm so happy to have this on record, because I know I'm, I don't, I won't pimp out some numbers, but I'm one of a lot of people that I think is so happy to see this arc for you guys, and we're so curious to see what happens to like this group of people that we already know as like very serious musicians. Before anything with Codefendants, before anything with any of the necessarily hyped up bands that you guys have been way closer with the last couple of years, like back in 2016, 2017, even those shows to like 30, 50, 100 people were like religious experiences for the average person just trying to walk in and get a beer. White people exploding up in Eugene, Oregon. um,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's been so amazing to watch that, and I just before I have to talk to your agents to talk to you again, I just want to get all this somewhere so people can talk about it. I'm so excited for you guys. What do you think is happening next now that the record is done, and you're promoting? You know, is it tour that you're thinking about, or are you already thinking about like the next batch of songs?
We are, so in January, we're releasing the record, and we're doing a little tour, trying to keep it very DIY and go to the places that we used to go before doing all the support runs. I think we need that. Our hearts need to go back, um, and just to connect with with us from the time that we were new to everything. Um, so that's like the next move that we have. And then in March, we're touring with the RX Bandits. Well, we're doing like 3 shows because they don't really do long tours. And we've already have some other shit written for our next release because we never stop.
You guys are always like 2 albums behind. Like I feel like when I hear a new album, when we're talking about a new album, you're already like 2 albums behind what you've already written with the guys.
It's weird, and I don't mean to sound. I don't want to bribe about it, but we've already had like 70% of the next album.
Jesus Christ.
Recorded and everything, which is really yeah, we're
I don't want to brag. He says that's perfect.
you know, we're just never stop. We never stop, really.
That's amazing. So I have one little last silly question for you before I let you go. On all, let's say in 2024, let's say this year, what member of Zeta or Codefendants consumed the most amount of snow cones?
Tony.
You think it was Tony?
I think so. Yeah.
You guys went back to that thing like 5 times, and when I was seeing you, and then I saw pictures every day of you guys doing that tour when for the NoFX farewell. I was like, every day these guys are getting like 10 snow cones. I'm so jealous.
It's become a thing. You know, every time that we see one, we're like, oh shit. Me and Tony mostly, but Tony, he finds the most like gnarly ice creams, popsicles, snow cones, with crazy flavors, and I think his thing is like trying the wildest, like the craziest. So
That's so funny because he's such like a polite and mild mannered, like equalized person most of the time. You wouldn't think he's got a streak. That's funny.
yeah. No, he's an adventurer when it comes to trying new things.
Yeah, he is an adventurer. Like that's he could be the Brazilian Indiana Jones in another life.
No, it's true. I think it's true. And he's also about to do this really quick tour, amazing tour with our friends from Ed Hoculi and a Florida band that it's super epic and they don't get together that often called it's a, I don't want to say a super band because I mean I don't think they're trying to do that, but they have people from Dikembe, they have people from Jillian Carter, and we actually played with them when we did the re-release of the Magia Infinita Revisited.
Oh, nice. Okay.
and they're called the Caution Children.
The what
And
children?
so it's the Caution Children.
Oh, okay. I think I have seen the name at least.
And so it's like post, like heavy post rock, screamo, metal. It's very cool.
That's a nice group of people. That's an interesting cast.
Yeah. And so Pablo's Veil is gonna embark on that little tour. So Tony, if we don't rest, Tony, I don't know. I don't even know how he's able to go on tour after these tours that we did, but I'm excited for him, and I think that's one of the coolest tours in Florida for this season.
I'm so glad that you said Ed Hockley out loud because I have always struggled with how it's spelled. I'm like, I love this band, but I have no idea how to say it.
Yeah.
What a weird. It's a cool record. That last one.
Maybe for a different time we'll get into this, but that's also a band that I heard when I was still back in Venezuela, and then I met when I came here. So
holy crap, they must have been like the same age as you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I thought they were newer, and I haven't explored a lot of their back catalog, but I was doing one of the Tuesday Dumpsters like this year for their new record, and I was like, I have to sit down with this a lot because it's like the last time I heard a record that hit me on that level was like Crack the Sky from Mastodon. I was like, I'm gonna hit this so hard. It was very good.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, they're amazing, and I will make sure to tell them that we talked about them. I'm excited to see them when they come.
Hell yeah. Well, you should probably just if you're resting, continue to rest, or if you're writing, or if you're in the studio right now secretly, I'll let you get back to it. But it's so good to just hear your voice and just check in for a second, man, because yeah, it's been amazing to watch you guys grow, and I'm honored to continue to watch. I think a lot of us are just so happy for you. Otherwise, enjoy your weekend, and yeah, just go back to bed or whatever.
Thank you so much. This was really cool.
Of course, man. I think it's gonna be killer. I'll edit out made it here at the end, but yeah, this is probably my favorite interview, the most fulfilling interview of the year. Even though I've done some cool ones, like just to be able to talk to someone and chill and relax and hear such an amazing story about these people that I really do care about and go way back with. It's such an amazing moment to just siphon a little bit of the craziness that all of us is. It's just an honor to watch you guys. So go keep kicking ass. But yeah, I won't take any more of your time. I will talk to you soon, and it might take a while to edit this together, but I'll try to time it with that next release you were talking about.
All right. Hell yeah.
Excellent. Have a good rest of your day, man. Talk soon.
Thank you, brother.
Adios. Love you too. Bye bye.